What's up, everyone? This is SirRule1986 signing in for another YouTube video here. Before I go and rant into here, you see these nice little ratings here I have put up here. They're not official, so no copyright claims can be handled because I put them up myself. But this is rated R for content and language, and my little fun thing right here, LI, rated also LI for literally insane because sanity. Let me go ahead and turn those off here. But today we are going into reacting to Ginger Prime's Done Being Silent. The FF14 gearing system is garbage. Which I actually kind of agree to him in that factor. There could be things that are better. I have watched this video, so I can have little highlights here, there when he's going on about this. Brian's really awesome dude. I will put a link down to his channel below. So make sure to drop him a subscribe and follow if you have not. But let's go ahead and get this little fun show on the road, shall we? Here we go.
I'm going to go ahead and put a content advisory right at the start of this video. Typically, I try to keep my, conversations pretty tame in terms of the language and the words that I choose to use. This is the third attempt at filming this video in which that hopefully I don't just go into a endless rant of swear words. So hello everyone and welcome to this video. My name's Brian if you happen to be new, and if I'm going to be the villain of the Final Fantasy XIV content creator community, I might as well embrace my villainy and tell you exactly how I think and what I feel about this game. I love Final
I want to stop it right there, actually, real quick. This is one of the places I wanted to stop. You can be a villain, you can be the person, you can speak out. I mean, getting into certain aspects and what's later in the video here too, we need actually more people to speak out about the wrongs and the bads, because there is a lot of wrongs, there is a lot of bads within within 14. I mean, you have people that will sit there literally and criticize you for doing so, but those voices are the ones that usually end up being heard over and over again. So let's go ahead and go on with reasoning.
Final Fantasy XIV, and if for some reason this is a video that YouTube is recommending and you've never played it, it's got an incredible free trial and you absolutely owe it to yourself to check it out. That is going to be the last positive thing I say about Final Fantasy XIV in this focused topic, which we're going to be talking about gear. Why are we talking about this today? Well, ultimately, I'm sick of the Final Fantasy fucking 14 Defense Force. That's right, those people suck ass. And what I mean by that is this. I have, for over the last year, muzzled myself in terms of opinions. You can't really talk about Final Fantasy XIV in any open and honest way on the internet. It is not received well because you're going to have people who are just the worst come out and remind you of that. Here's the...
And I'll stop it right here again. I mean, you literally do. I mean, anything you say or do about 14, and this is just from my personal experiences talking to different people on it. I don't really go into the forums and whatnot. I do browse the forums every once in a while, but I never really post in there because I'm one of the people that I'll usually like to keep my opinions to myself, but then I usually talk about my opinions to other people in Discord. And I will literally say about the factor that the Warzian Defense Force and ruining almost every single topic, and I mean there are literally endless amount of topics here on the 14 forums. I mean, hell, one of the things is Lamer System needs a whole entire rework. What's the point of the lackluster story within Endwalker? On Island Sanctuaries being only for endgame. Play it how you want it.
The weirdest thing, they'll come out and remind you of it regardless. And so what really kicks this video off, and just kind of putting it, at the front of this video, because I want to talk about how the Final Fantasy XIV gearing system is absolute garbage, is what it comes down to it is that when they want to keep reminding you and keep talking shit about you and keep dunking on you, at some point you can only take so much. And I've ignored them. I've tried to engage with them in a positive and open way, but that's just clearly not going to work. And what I ultimately want to say right at the start of this video is I think Final Fantasy XIV needs to have a feedback system built into the game, because ultimately these assholes are keeping people from actually telling the devs what they want and what would benefit the game and what would benefit the community. So they're policing the game, they're policing all forms of social media and keeping these ideas suppressed. It worked on me. I got just tired of dealing.
That is true, and that's one thing I do agree upon in here, and I hope that you do watch it, Brian. Because yeah, it's a great thing. Even though I haven't done it over in New World, because I'm still new, so I'm still trying to learn the whole entire system, and how the game works. But being not say a vet like you within the 14 community, I've only played since Stormblood, the start of Stormblood, and then also taking a couple year break and then coming back for Shadowbringers. There it is. I mean, two, yeah, Shadowbringers and Stormblood, but it's so I'm not a vet player, but I've been playing it long enough, and yeah, it would be nice to have a direct forum link over to within the game, or even where you can just submit something and not have anyone else see it. And a direct link to the developers would be nice, because you can put your opinions and statements in there, what you think could be better. Will they get implemented? We don't know. I mean, hell, just take a look at the factor of the competitions that they run each year. Design competitions for weapons, housing items, and such like that. They say they're going to implement them. 3 years down the road here, I mean, they're starting to somewhat implement them and trickle them in with it, but they're also still releasing new designs and everything else. They say these people are going to be the winners. They get additional stuff. They get additional prizes, on which they get the prizes and everything. But do they see the item in the game right away? No. They release them with patches, and sometimes there's still stuff that I like from the, say, 2019 housing design competition stuff. I haven't seen them in game yet. So when is it going to be implemented? Don't know. I mean, we had some of the top front runners, and hell, even with looking towards coming into the factor of the Relic System and everything else that's coming out with 6.2 coming in on Tuesday. They had the weapon design contest. What are the weapons going to look like? And especially, hell, yeah, I was laughing at one of them because they were literally shark fists for Monk. He had the shark, Major General Shark Fist, but they also had some nice little interesting designs. Are they going to put those interesting designs incorporated within the weapon system, within the relics? Or are they just going to be straight off glamour items for level 1 coming out? Don't know. We'll see. But let's continue on
With it, so I stopped talking about it, but we're done with that. In fact, we're going to be incredibly critical of the game and how it can improve and be a benefit to the majority of players, not this loud vocal minority of dipshits who continue to plague the world of Final Fantasy XIV. So welcome to the video, guys.
Some of them I could probably guess they do play it, but they don't play it as seriously as say we do, or they no life it, get up there and bada bada boom, they're done, and then they just go back to what they were doing, what they do, and that's sit here on the forums just to find stuff and bitch about, or try to silence other people's voices, and which, in my opinion, personally, they actually need to do something about them.
Gearing in
But will they? We don't know.
Final Fantasy XIV sucks ass. So let's start. Does gearing in other MMOs do it better? Who the hell cares? When it looks at Final Fantasy XIV, it is a stat stick attached to a visual representation of gear. One of the things that I'm
going to stop it here again. So, truthfully, yeah, but you also get that in any MMO. I know I probably stopped it a little bit early to talk about this, but I just wanted to stop it here real quick. Any MMO, any game, you literally have in MMO, any genre, let's say, you have upgraded gear. It's literally a stack stick. You could be a stat stick, you can be a piece that you actually like, and everything else. But still, you're kind of in a lackluster kind of story. And just you want that piece of gear, but and it has stats attached to it, but it's not stats for your class. And from one thing I've heard that they're changing the system a little bit, with that things aren't going to be linked to classes anymore, which is kind of bullshit in my opinion. So it's like you're gonna have say white mage looking like they're a machinist or something like that. But let's go ahead and move on.
Absolutely hyped about, and I said I wasn't going to talk about anything positive. Well, I'm already contradicting myself, is the look of the new visual effects on gear. This actually has me so freaking excited to jump in and try and acquire that. We've only kind of seen those visual effects really linked into the ultimates. To bring that into the rating scene, I think is going to be a real big perk. I'm guessing it's going to be tied behind Savage. Ultimately, we'll find out here in a couple of weeks when patch 6.2 drops.
Another thing I want to say about that too, they actually had another, say, visual effect armor in it, but it wasn't as, say, big as this one is, and which is basically you're showing it was the Eureka Gear. And let me go ahead and pop this up here real quick, the special site, because the Eureka Gear had literally glowy effects on it and everything, and I'm just going to go ahead and here we go. But yeah, I mean, that stuff looks awesome. I will say that stuff looks great. And especially for me, missing the live letter and everything, and missing the optimal time to go back and do coverage on it, and especially with the YouTube algorithms and whatnot. So yeah, hopefully next time catch for 6.3 or later on. But yeah.
But when we look at gear within Final Fantasy XIV, it is the most mundane and monotonous piece of garbage that exists within the game itself. It is simplified to a stat to appease the rating scene, which now, when you start to think about kind of an eight-month-ish cycle in terms of how it rotates, what are we talking about here? Why is gear so bland? Why is it so lame? Why is there no form of investment system that has come into this game over the last 13 years? And I'm not saying that they got to go and change the old way that gear used to work and that structure. I'm saying that when we start to look forward about another 10-year plan, I think gearing needs to be a conversation to be had. Now, when it comes down to it, when it comes to the core aspects of how Final Fantasy XIV manages its gear, one of the strengths that it does offer is the ease of access and the ease of return. When gear is just a stat stick, that's all it ends up being, and that's why you hear phrases like glamour is the true endgame and glamour is the be-all end-all of the Final Fantasy XIV universe.
I want to stop it here with my thoughts on this part, especially heading into the glamour and stat sticks again. You literally have a point with the factor that, again, you can put 400, which I think they're still doing it, but going up to 800 now, of gear pieces that you like into your glamour dresser, and you can wear that piece and you can actually make yourself look like you're a white mage, but you're wearing an aiming set because of the factor of the replica system. But also where you still have some classes, some stuff still class locked. And I've heard that they're changing that too. Again, like I said earlier in the video. But I'm not sure if that's 100% true or not. Well, we'll see and we'll find out. Because I ran into some YouTube videos saying about that, and just like I didn't really want to watch them. Because probably just irked me a little bit, but glamour is what they say. One of the end game stuff, but you also got the factor of end game content also being housing, decorating, also alongside the rating and everything else. End game is what you make it. And I know I've said that in plenty of other videos and also in this one too, and I'm going to hit it up again, probably even more later on down the road, because it's a topic that always comes up. So I will fucking say this. And here's my first fucking cuss word. Actually, there's number 2. that it is kind of bullshit. uh, that people always say glamour is the end game. It's not. End game is what you fucking goddamn make it. And I will honestly fucking say that. And I'm just end the sentence right there. Because if it's the defense force that's saying this fucking bullshit, then fuck them. And everyone else that says that too. And I'm sorry, I will be a villain at this point. If they say that, you make endgame what you fucking want to make it.
It's easy. It's mathematically simple. It makes adjustments to content absolutely easy to do. That's the strength. That's the only strength that it actually brings. And when you start to actually factor in really 8-month cycles in terms of gearing getting increased in terms of its level cap and vertical progression, I think now as we look forward to the next 10 years is the perfect opportunity to take that gear and tie it into systems. When we start looking at Criterion Dungeons, for example, I think Criterion Dungeons would be a perfect example of an upgraded system for gear. So in a way, what I'm proposing, especially the feedback and thoughts that I had that I continue to share with the devs and will continue to do so, but that's why I think having a feedback mechanism in game is more important than on the forums. People have told me multiple times they're afraid to even post anything because you get that 14 defense force coming in and just ruining everything, in my opinion. Anyhow, what I mean by this is that let's say we take Criterion Dungeons, for example, and then we say we take gear. It would be incredible.
Even though I'm not much of a fucking content person, because I am more of an RP or I am more of a person that'll hang out, chill out, whatever, and I will get my shit done. I mean, I got my Omni 90 done, I got all my classes up finally, and then I've also been playing over a New World too, because I've got my in-game stuff already done in 14, what I call as endgame, and that would be factor of housing. I got a house, I got my glamour set, because hell, glamour for male characters suck fucking balls. Yeah, I know. They've literally come out more and more lately with the factor of, oh, well, and I have nothing, I'm going to put this out here too. As the topic's going into that in that center. I have nothing against the LGBT community and everything else and people that want to cross-dress and whatnot. But please also put in stuff that for content for guys that are straight and whatnot. Please give guy characters in the game a little bit better looking glamour. Because, I mean, instead of just translating the female armor over to males that the males can wear it too, do something about the lackluster items that look completely bulky and everything else on male characters that don't look right on male characters, and fucking making something look good, except for the factor of, yeah, you want to make the good stuff looking stuff, but make it easy of access in fucking game for it. And I mean, you have a few pieces here and there, but a lot of it's also, when I look at, I see it on the fucking Mog Station. I'm not one that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to go and drop on fucking glamour items on the Mog Station with my real life money when I've got bills to pay and everything else. Because give me ease of access, because truthfully, the stuff that has actually come out for glamour fucking wise, this expansion has actually so far been trash for the stuff that's crafted. And the crafted stuff is awesome that you get from the fucking maps, the materials you get from the maps. But this stuff that has really for the male characters has really fucking been lackluster. That's enough about me for glamming and everything else. That's just me, because yeah, most of my armor stuff is linked over from just clearing out my retainers. But let's continue on. Shall fucking we?
Incredible, because especially in this kind of content, Criterion, we've seen it also work within the treasure vaults and things like that. Those things are item level synced, where item level really isn't the driving force. And I think essentially to preserve essentially the current model of the game, you start to look at all these other models, all these other game modes, deep dungeon, Criterion dungeons, variant dungeons, things like that as systems contents, where gear then has perks. And perks would be the ultimate way of expressing individuality. That's a weird way of saying it. And the ability to craft a unique and gear system that's sought after. Where in this case that you don't have to sit here and overhaul the entire game, because that's just not going to happen. That's unrealistic. But you can actually focus target gearing and interesting progression systems in these new pieces of content. We started to kind of see a tease of this within the Zadner Bozja system, and I thought that was actually.
Say it with me again. Bojin. Bajin. People say Bojin or Bajin. Bojin or Bajin, not Bajin. It's just like trying to pronounce. And if you do watch this video and you get to this point, please, what server are we on in New World? Not to make fun of you, Delixia, and everything else, and you do an awesome job and everything, and we have some fun. Murloc. But I mean, that's also not. Bajin was actually not the first one where we had the tease of this little different armor system. Like I said earlier in the video too, we have Eureka. Eureka even had visual effects on their elemental gear. One thing I will say about the factor of, say, stat sticks and whatnot, one thing I'm actually kind of also fucking tired of is seeing repeat glams. And they're getting into it. They're kind of getting into the factor. Because, I mean, say Thancred's coat, for example. And that's one of the generic ones that came out last expansion in Shadowbringers. And everyone's hot up for it. And they released where they released it for the Relic Gear for Gunbreaker. Then they also released it for coming up again in where you can dye it to whatever color you want when you go through the Memoria Extreme Trial. But then this expansion, they bring out the redesign fucking again. Whereas some of the stuff that you get from the Crystalline Conflict is for some classes is new, or at least into my opinion, they're fucking new. I don't fucking goddamn know. But it literally, the fucking Gunbreaker one is the fucking Thancred coat. We've had two other versions of the Thancred Dad coat twice already. We don't need another one. Yeah, it makes it easier for the lower level players, people that hit 30 to get into Crystalline Conflict, get that one. But then, what's the point of then getting up to doing the extremes to get the dialable version, because they already fucking got it from Crystalline Conflict? What the fuck?
Actually really quite interesting to see how that would play out in that system, and hopefully that was just a test. I really hope that was just a test, because when it comes down to it, I've seen people numerous over the course of like internet and talking about the gearing system in 14.
Another thing too, I'm going to stop right here while and he's still on. Well, while we're still on this part, because I talked to him personally a little bit about this with like set bonuses and whatnot. You do have some of that within it. I mean, some of the Eureka gear had that. Some of the Bajin gear had that. You get additional benefits in the area that you are in for wearing that gear set. So it is a little bit of a teaser and everything else that, hey, we could possibly get this. And will it be incorporating Criterion in the variant dungeons? We'll see. We'll find out. Because I'm actually looking forward to it, because I'm not much of a Savage Raider. I usually end up doing the EXs expansion late because it's a little bit easier for me with my schedule. It's hard to fucking gear up top tier when you're a single fucking goddamn parent. Finding time to sit down and play and not have to say to a whole entire fucking 7 people static saying, my son just fell off his bed. Give me about 20 minutes of the raid time while I go and help him. They will say, later, fucker.
And how, as you experience the game more and more and more, you end up just kind of looking at it and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this is just increased stats. And when it comes down to some of the changes, it's just bland. It's just bland. there isn't a lot of flavor. So within the gear itself, if they were able to start to add in kind of a perks system that tied into certain content, I think that would be interesting, because it doesn't affect the core aspect of what people chase after normally. It ends up being an additional level that people can go and try and grind for, chase the perfect build, chase the perfect stats. Something flew and hit me in the eye. It is what it is. I'm going to keep that in. But then it comes down to the concept of the Relic System. The Relic System, I think, would be beautifully done for an overhaul of the system as kind of the first and foremost entry. Now, we're going to get a new updated Relic System here with this patch 6.25 in the next couple of weeks. I think that's going to be exciting. Will they have this implemented, or any of these?
Going against with this, because like with the Relic System, they also kind of teased it before. Again, it's hitting back into Stormblood, hitting back into Eureka. They had upgrade along with the upgraded relic weapon. You also had gear that's set up. Yeah, when you finally get to, and I don't know if you actually ended up doing it or not, and if you're still watching this video, great. If not, then I'm just ranting a little bit more. But with one thing I kind of disliked about that system, instead of the armor being upgraded throughout, you got to, because you started off in Animos, then you went up to Pyros. No, Pegos. When you hit Pegos, that armor set stopped, and then they released a whole entire new one coming into Pyros and Hydatos. But that was also the glowy version that came into the Relic System. So I mean, you had gear that came up and evolved with your relic weapon. I mean, I would love to see more of that and see what they do, and especially with the Hildebrand stuff. The Hildy relic weapons, and that's one thing I'm hating. Also, seeing going on the forums and seeing what other people shit posting about it. Are they going to be joke weapons and whatnot? Are they going to not look serious? It's like, who fucking cares? You complained last few times. You had the Eureka weapons tied to a zone. You had the Bajan weapons tied to a zone, but also you were able to go out and do it without having to really do the zones, except for going into the zone to get the metal and level that you fucking goddamn needed to literally move on with the relic quest. But after you finish that part, you didn't have to step a damn thing into a zone again. I mean, go take a look at the factor of and I haven't fully done it because I don't want to do that grind. Because, yeah, fuck that. The AAR system. I mean, you still have the AAR system. You don't have that tied to anything except for a few trials and also dungeons. But you also got the books, and the books are grinding to fucking half. And you still got to do every single book to get that relic weapon. Hell, with the Heaven's Ward one, you don't have to fucking do anything for it except for farm poetics. That's literally all you have to do is farm poetics, do a couple trials, do a couple dungeons. That's it. You get the relic weapon. You know, they implementing more of that system. I'm kind of thinking that they're going to go back to that instead of tying it down to a zone, which a lot of people are complaining that, hey, we have to go fucking do this zone and I don't wanna. Fuck you. Fuck you. It's content. Do it. If not, unsubscribe from the game. If you also fucking want at the same time too, unsubscribe from this fucking channel. If you haven't fucking subscribed or you're liking what I'm seeing, what I'm doing right now, please subscribe. I'm going to have some more.
These ideas implemented at the time? Most likely not. This is just me ranting. This is just me to kind of communicate the frustration that I have with the gearing system and that I want it to be better. That's what it is. That's all it is. And I know I'm going to get so much shit for this, but it is what it is.
Here's your shit. Here's your shit. Good job. Good job, my friend. Good job.
That's what I wanted, because I'm just done. I'm just done sitting here trying to tell people that it was like the game is great. Oh, if you want to have a real conversation, you got to hang out with us live, because that's really where the real conversation.
You don't have to hang out with anyone live. And again, I want to say thank you, Brian, for letting me do the reaction of this, because I did talk to you a little bit about it before. And asked you actually for permission for this. So You did an awesome job with this video. I'm looking forward to the other ones, and also planning on doing more to the other ones that you have. Doing some more reactions to them. So make sure if you want to follow up with my reactions to his other ones, hit that like, subscribe video down there. Let's help out the YouTube algorithm with these Final Fantasy 14 shit is shit. And with certain people. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and sign the video off here. This was a fucking great time and everything else. So we're gonna go end up here. And also please make sure if again, I'll also put a link to this video if you want to watch it fully unpaused and whatnot. I'll put it in the link in the description. Also a link to his channel down there as well. Which he also does a lot more he does coverage on a whole bunch of different games and stuff like that. So I will see everyone again next time. Have a good night. Have a good day. Adios.